Hey guys, welcome back to another series on my channel. Well, this is going to be a brand new series on this, and I have already created a playlist of the series. And don't worry about it, the episodes are going to be the regulars, like in 2 or 3 days sequels. So don't worry about the series stopping in mid. Or something like that. So this story is going to be like, what if Ash was a little bit smarter, not like some kind of Einstein or something, just a bit smarter, a bit mature, like a normal kid who is going to through adolescence like that. So let's not waste any more time and let's begin. Prologue. We start our story in the small town Quantinian region in southern Kanto, known as Pallet Town. Not many people live here, and the main attraction of this town was the laboratory and the residence of the original professor of Kanto, known as Professor Oak. Professor Oak was one supreme trainer with powerful Pokemon as his partners, like his starter Charizard, his Alakazam, who rumored to be as strong as powerful as the gym trainer Sabrina Salgazam, and his Dragonite, who was rumored to be as powerful as the champion Lance's Dragonite. He, of course, has many more Pokemons with him, but after a few years of training, he decided that the Pokemon battling wasn't something he enjoyed, and he found his calling as a Pokemon researcher. He became famous all over the world for his groundbreaking breakthrough related to Pokemon, completing in Pokédex his greatest invention. A Pokédex is essentially a small device function as an encyclopedia on Pokemon. All one had to do was point it at the Pokemon in the question to get a brief description of the Pokemon. Once a trainer had caught a Pokemon, the Pokédex can provide information on his gender, abilities, current moveset, and the potential move that can Pokemon learn. It is still new to the world of Pokemon, and the first batch of Pokédex will be given to the new trainer starting their journeys on the 1st of April. Talking about the trainer starting his journey, we come to a teenage boy who is watching a Pokemon battle between a Gengar and a Nidorino on his TV. His name is Ash Ketchum. He is a 13-year-old boy with black curly hair, brown eyes. His eyes were following the battle with fascination. His keen mind absorbed various strategies used by the trainers in the Indigo League. His eyes widened with the excitement when the Gengar used a psychic attack on Nidorino and knocked him out on the battle. It was the scene that his mother, Delia, came out into the room. Delia is an amber-eyed, urban-haired woman in early 30s. She had dreams of being a Pokemon trainer herself but had to give up them to take care of Ash when he was born. She now runs the restaurant in Pallet Town known as Pallet House. On seeing Ash still awake, she said, Ash, you shouldn't be in bed by now. You don't want to oversleep tomorrow, do you? I know, Mom, but I just too excited to sleep right now. I just can't wait to start my journey tomorrow, replied as his face was sluggish. I understand, honey, but you don't want to waste the effort you put in over the last few years by oversleeping now. And effort he put in, as still remember the day quite clearly. Even if it was almost 3 years ago, he had just come back from the summer camp held by Professor Oak for aspiring trainers. Flashback. Hi, honey. How's the camp? Delia asked on seeing her son for the first time in more than a month. It was amazing, Mom. I saw so many new Pokemon there. The assistants we even had a mock battle there for us to experience the real thing. And I made a new friend named Serena. She was hurt by a polio and slowed down as laughed his mother. Take a breath. I can't understand when you are speaking so fast. Sorry, as sheepishly replied, but it was so much fun. I mostly hung up with Leaf and Jonathan and Serena when she became our friend. All the other kids were forming over that jug. Gary Oak, Leaf, Jonathan, and Gary were as neighborhoods, and Gary was Professor Oak's grandson. As his mother scolded him, "Is this how I raised you to use such words? And what's wrong with Gary? I thought he was your best friend." He was till 3 weeks ago, but he mocked my dream to become a Pokemon master, saying it will never come true, since the only one capable of becoming a Pokemon master is the great Gary Oak. Delia could hear the sarcasm in As's words. After pondering on her son's word for a while, Lilia commented, "So, is your dream being a Pokemon master worthy of your friendship with your best friend?" "Of course it is. From now on, we are rivals, but just you wait. I will definitely become a Pokemon master." As replied with passion burning in his eyes, it was at that moment that Delia knew that this was just not some childish dream which she had assumed it was till now. It was what Ash truly wanted in his life as a goal, and Elia knew that she would support him, help him, guide him to reach the goal, and she decided to start doing that now with some tough love and brutal honesty. That night, as till now, I had no idea that you were so passionate about your dream. I just assumed it was some kind of childish fantasy. Delia laughed with a hand rubbing on her head, laughed sheepishly, but here her demeanor turned seriously, and Ash knew better listen to his mom. "I am sorry to say this, but I don't think you will reach your dream." Uh, Ash opened his mouth, then closed it for after some seconds, not knowing what to say. He tried to avoid this showing the hurt on his face, but he wasn't sure if he was successful. "I'm not finished," Ash. His mom continued. "I don't think you can achieve your dream as you are right now. And if you think about it, you will realize the truth in my words." "No, you're wrong," Ash tried to protest vehemently, but stopped when his mother raised his hand and cut him off. "Oh really? Then tell me, how many Pokemon are there in the world? Do you know the different type of Pokemon? Do you know the strength and weaknesses each type of Pokemon? Do you know what all moves a Pokemon can learn? Do you know what to feed a Pokemon to give them a balanced diet essential for the growth?" "I don't need to continue, do I?" At each question, his mom fired up as Paris fell further and further. He was barely resisting his tears. He started to add a touch on his shoulder and looked up at his mom, who had a similar teary expression on her face. He was wondering about that when his mom continued talking. "You think it is easy for me to tell you all this?" his mom questioned. "But I had to. It's my duty to tell you this." At questioning look from the as she continued, "A mother's happiness lies in her son's happiness. Nothing can make a mother happier than watching her son pursue her dreams and eventually reach them. But she has to help him and guide him till he reaches his goals." She held him gently and lovingly, all traces of her strict personas gone now. But as will forever deny that she snivel. "You just told me that I won't reach my goal. How is this guiding me?" As said, frustration and anger evident in his voice. "How else was I supposed to get to you?" his mother questioned, her voice still gentle. "I knew that I couldn't just get you a book on a Pokemon to help you prepare for your journey. You hate studying. You probably would not have even opened the book I got you. I had to tell you this now as you needed a wake-up call. Becoming Pokemon Master is one of the toughest things to achieve in this world. You need to be prepared," as his mother pleaded, hoping her son would understand why she said what she said, that he would learn, and most importantly, that he would forgive her for this. Flashback end. As remember that conversation fondly, he couldn't believe that he used to be so naive, start a Pokemon journey without any preparation whatsoever, something he was sure he would have done had his mother not sorted him out. He really did have the best mother in the world. He thought, his heart full of love for his mother. He continued thinking of the aftermath of that conversation, as was upset for the rest of the day thinking about the conversation with his mother, but he knew she was right. He was just not prepared. So the next day at the dining table while eating breakfast, he broke the awkward silence that had permeated the house since the conversation. Flashback. "Mom," he started, catching her attention, "I've been thinking of what you said." Here she grimaced before continuing, "And I know that every word you said is truth. I am just not prepared for my journey, but I have 3 years for my journey to start, and I want to spend 3 years studying whatsoever I can achieve my dream." "Oh, Essie, I'm so glad you decided that," Delia said brightly. "Have you thought about how you would go about it?" she questioned. "Well, I'm just going to go to Professor Oak to ask him to teach me," as mumbled sheepishly with his right hand rubbing the back of his hair, a gesture he picked from his mother when she was nervous. "Oh, that's okay, honey. As much as I don't want to say it, I know that I cannot help you with your education on Pokemon. I was never a trainer myself," she said with a downcast expression. "That's alright, Mom. You're helping me however you can," insisted Ash. Delia smiled weakly at Ash before continuing. "Thank you, Ash. Anyway, I did speak to Professor Oak in the evening yesterday after our conversation. He is expecting us now." "Oh, is he?" Why didn't you tell me before? Question asked before rapidly stuffing his mouth with food. Manners as laughed Delia. Slow down, the professor isn't going anywhere. End of flashback. Later, as has spoken to Professor Oak explaining his plight, Professor Oak just said that he was waiting for this day to come and gave us an encyclopedia of Pokemon in the Kanto region. And this is how education started. Ash was astonished to know that there were 721 Pokemon discovered in 6 regions so far. And to think that he assumed that there were only 100 or so Pokemon before he started studying. He was really naive. As he started off with trying to remember different Pokemon along with their types, there were 18 types of Pokemon that has been discovered from common normal type to unique and erotic fairy type. As made it a goal to learn 10 different Pokemon every day and was finished with learning about every Pokemon discovered so far in 2.5 months. He not only learned their name, he learned their types, which type they were strong against, which type they were weak against, and their difficulties in getting them to listen to the trainer. Along with that, he learned with what their food they ate, along with learning to cook for himself during the journey from his mother. Yeah, I should prepare to go to sleep now. As snapping back to the present. Have I ever thanked you for what you have done for me so far? He questioned while looking at his mother. Oh honey, you never need to thank me for anything. I always done my best for you because I love you. There is no need to thank me. Delia replied while smiling sweetly. I love you too, Mom, Ash replied while hugging her. They embraced each other for a few minutes before Ash pulled back. Can you think of what would have happened if you never had conversation with me? He questioned her. Oh, I can imagine. You probably would have angered an entire flock of sparrows on Route 1 and have run for your life. His mother teased him gently. You are hilarious, Mom. Ash rolled his eye, but probably correct, he admitted grudgingly. Delia laughed before pointing him to his room gently. Sleep now. You have a long day tomorrow. Yes, Mom, going now. As grumbled good naturedly, they reached his room while they saw his clothes hanging in cupboard and a backpack on his bed. You packed everything for tomorrow? Delia questioned her son. Yes, Mom, everything is packed and ready to go. I've been planning for this for 3 years now. I'm ready. Okay, I'm just worried. Have you set your alarm? Yes, all done. Okay, then good night, Ashley. I love you. She kissed him on his forehead before waddling him to his bed and tucking him in. Mom, as wine, I'm 13 now. Stop this. This is the last I can do for many months to come. Acid, allow me to this. His mom pleaded. As saw his mom's expression and his eyes softened. It's okay, Mom, and don't worry. I will call you from every Pokemon Center. Alright, I know, Essie. Sorry for getting all sentimental on you. And sleep now. Good night. And with that, Delia walked out of his room. Beep, 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 crash, boom, damn. As he did getting up early in the morning, he really did, but he had cultivated the habit of doing so over and over the last 3 years. He knew that he had a lot to do every day of his journey. He had to travel from city to cities on foot and train his Pokemon, so he knew that he could not wait daylight by sleeping, and traveling was done best in the natural light of the sun, for there were always chances of getting ambushed by wild Pokemon at night where visibility was low. Thus, he started getting up at the dawn every day for the last 3 years. Groaning as he got up, as barely rubbed his eyes from sleep, he yawned while stretching and went to the washroom to brush his teeth and freshen up. Doing so, he went outside his door for his daily jog. This was another habit he got himself into. He knew that being on the road daily and traveling places to places would be taxing on his body, so he started exercising daily to keep his body fit for the travel. As he jogged, he once again marveled at the scenery around his town. Town was a small village and was surrounded by greenery, which made his jog quite refreshing. After jogging for an hour or so, he went back to his room to shower and change the clothes he will wear on his journey. It was consisted of a black t-shirt, blue jeans with a blue and white jacket with gold trims, and his signature Pokemon League hat. While leaving his room, he was about to take his backpack but thought to go through it to make sure he kept everything. His backpack has 5 components and he had arranged his item accordingly. The first component was for his Pokeball. He currently has 6 on him. Knowing that Professor Oak will give him more when he gets his starter, the second component was for medicine. Along with medicines for himself, he had 10 potions, 10 full heal, 10 full revive. A bit much, but he has aiming to make them last till he reached Salodian City. The third component was for his TM case, a gift from his mother given on his 13th birthday. He had probably broken a rib or two of his mother's with the crushing hug he gave her. Well, he currently was taking enough food for 10 days. He didn't need that much, but he liked to keep extra in case of emergency. The last component was for his map as well as his fishing rod. The fishing rod was something he treated himself with, but he justified it by thinking that he needed it, and the fact that he hadn't brought something for himself for almost 3 years. There was another thing he started after taking talk with his mother 3 years ago. He was always given a monthly allowance, which he spent on random stuff he thought looked cool, but he stopped doing that to save money for his journey. The Ketchums were never rich. They wasn't poor, but they were never rich. So as saved all his allowances for 3 years and had collected quite a sum of money. He helped achieve his dream. He knew all his money would be spent on his Pokemon, but he was fine with it. Once done with reckoning his bag, he hosted it and went downstairs where his mom made a vegetable feast on the table. His mouth watered at the smell, and he quickly started devouring its breakfast. While he started eating like a regular human after his mother had almost beaten manners into him, he still consumed food fit for 5 people. So only when he was on the third helping did he realize that his mom was sitting on the table as well as looking at him with fond expression on her face. "Oh, hey mom, good morning. Thanks for the breakfast. It was amazing. You outdone yourself today," gushed as after swallowing his food. "Oh, you are welcome, honey. It at least I could do. After all, this is your last home cooked meal for a while now. Have I well told you I love you, mom?" Questioned as with a smug on his face. "A lot of times, yes, but the sentiment is appreciated," laughed Delia. "So have you decided on your starter yet?" "I am not sure, mom. After all, the Pokemons are amazing, and all three turn into absolute monsters in the final evolution. When trained right, I can't really differentiate between them at the moment." "That's alright, honey. You can always decide on the spot." "Yeah, probably I will do that," as he replied while glancing at the clock. "I should head out to the lab now. Mom, it's getting late. I will come back to pick up my backpack after I get my starter." "Okay, honey, take care. Best of luck," his mother replied while giving him a kiss on his cheek and cleaning the table. After Ash made his way to the Professor Oak laboratory at the listening phase, while imagining over which Pokemon he would capture, how he would begin his journey. He had already booked a pocket transport from Viridian City to Fuchsia City for a week from today. This would give him a week to train and bond with his starter and any Pokemon he would catch before leaving. Pocket Transport was such a boom. It was initially started by the gym leader of Saffron City, Sabrina. Sabrina was a master of psychic type Pokemon and has a lot of Pokemon among the Abra line. Abra and his evolution had perfected the art of teleportation, and Sabrina using the ability to produce intercity teleport for a fee. The price range from relatively cheap is booked months in advance to extremely costly if booked on the spot. If any was available, the pocket transport worked every half hour, and there are only a limited amount of Pokemon available at the time to transport. Even with the restrictions, the pocket transport service is still very popular. As wanted to start his journey by visiting the Safari Zone. The Safari Zone was reserved for wild Pokemon, and so the trainers were not allowed to battle the Pokemon there to capture them. Instead, the trainers were given special Safari balls that had a higher catch rate than normal Pokeballs and could only capture a Pokemon if the Pokemon was willing to accompany the trainer on his journey. In short, it was perfect for a newer trainer like Ash to give him a chance to add to his team and the beginning of his journey. He knew that spending a week on the bonding and training his starter Pokemons and spending some time in the Safari Zone would put him behind the rest of the competitors, but who would have no doubt heading toward the future city to get their first bear. But Ash was fine with it. The league was more than a year away, and Ash knew that not only who would catch up with them, but he would be better than them. He had that much faith in himself at least. As it started when he heard his name being called. So lost in thought was he that he didn't realize that he had already reached the professor's laboratory. He looked up to see his friend leave waving at him. She also dressed in her traveling clothes with a blue sleeveless t-shirt, a red skirt that came her to mid-thighs, and a hat. She had her bag strapped on already. Oh hey, Leap, ready to get your started? Ask question. I have been reading for ages, sir. I am so excited last night I couldn't barely sleep. She exclaimed while hopping from her foot to trying to control her excitement. Same here, let's not prolong it further and meet the professor, said as while walking past Leap into the lab. As ignored all the various devices in the lab, having seen them many times and too excited about getting restarted to even care. He saw Professor Oak along with two boys in his race. His name is Jonathan and his rival Gary Oak. Oh, look there, the loser has come, came the annoying voice of Gary. I wonder why you even showed up. Everyone knows that I am the only one who is becoming the Pokemon Master. As gritted his teeth while said nothing. He normally would have reason to his rival's jibes, but not today. He didn't want him getting started to be delayed any further. Not now, Gary. We are all friends here. Come to the deep approving voice of grandfather, Professor Oak. Gary just huffled and mulled out an apology which I ignored. Professor just shook his head and beckoned to a table that there are three Pokeballs on it. Once everyone was there, he started his introduction. Today, you four are going to start your journey, and like every Pokemon trainer, you will receive a starter. Your one choice is Charmander, while pointing to a Pokeball with a sticker of a red fire on it, or the Squirtle with pointing to a Pokemon with a sticker of a teardrop on it, or the Bulbasaur while pointing to a Pokeball with a sticker of a leaf on it. As you can see, there are four of you and only three Pokeballs, so ask any of you to alter step forward to take another starter. He finished while looking at the four children. No one moved. Well, we all started looking at each other, hoping that someone would volunteer. After thinking it about through, as step forward and said, I'll do it. After and while he was slightly disappointed by not getting one of the Kanto starters tree, he would be fine. He had researched the various fire, water, grass type Pokemon available in the Kanto region. As he didn't know whether he starter would get, he knew that he could catch and train a Pokemon to be as strong as one was Venusaur, a Blastoise, and a Charizard. Plus, he knew that whatever Pokemon Professor Oak gave him would be as powerful as a Charmander, a Bulbasaur, and a Squirtle. He gave the other three. Professor Oak gave us a big smile and continued talking. Thank you, yes. Now that decided, shall we continue? I think Leaf should pick the first after all. It's ladies first. Gary looked like he was going to protest, but a look from his grandfather shut him up. Leaf skipped forward and said, I already know which Pokemon I want. Bulbasaur, I choose you. With that, she released Bulbasaur and knelt down next to it. She quickly greeted it, stood up while hugging it to her chest. The Bulbasaur, quite pleased with his trainer, if its expression was say anything. Gary rushed forward and picked up the Pokeball with the teardrop on it and released it and nodded in satisfaction while he saw the Squirtle. Jonathan meanwhile was happy since he wanted the Charmander anyway and was happily greeting it. We are not done yet, children. Along with your starters, you will also get 5 Pokeballs from me. Remember that the league rules stated that you cannot carry more than 10 Pokeballs with you at a time. To carry more than it will approved by me or league official. The rule has been made along with the rule for making the starting age for trainers to be 13 instead of 10. The league thought that the trainer was now mature enough to handle 10 Pokemon at a time. Of course, the conditions of the Pokemon was checked at every Pokemon Center, and the regional trainer, well, a Pokemon was sent to the lab. If they found that a trainer is unable to handle 10 Pokemon at a time, this privilege will be revoked. The professor handed the four of them Pokeballs along with the small red device that everyone knew to be the Pokedex. After receiving these items, Gary, Leap, and Jonathan left. The professor turned to Ash and said, I really appreciate this, Ash. I hope you are satisfied with your starter as the others were. Since you voluntarily stepped forward, I will let you choose your starter from among the 3 other Pokemon I have with me. With that, he released 3 Pokemon that Ash recognized to be a male Nidorino, a Growlithe, and a Pikachu. All powerful Pokemon went in right. However, as soon as Ash looked at the Pikachu, he felt a connection. A connection in telling him that he had found a partner, a best friend, someone who would stick with him, telling thick and thin, and he knew that he had found his starter. He looked at Professor Oak and said, I decided, Professor, I choose Pikachu as my starter if he's willing to come with me. You decided already, came the surprise reply from Professor Oak. I assumed that you would speak with them at very least before deciding. I thought so too, Professor, but something is telling me to choose Pikachu, like a gut feeling. Is it strange, Professor Oak, as he looked at as instinctively as if he trying to figure out something. As ignored this and turned to Pikachu and knelt down to his side and said, "Hi Pikachu, my name is Ash Ketchum and I am going to starting my journey today. My aim is to become the Pokemon master, and to do so I will train my Pokemon really hard so that they can become the strongest Pokemon in the world. I am not going to lie, my training will be hard, it will be grueling, but it will immensely rewarding. In addition to that, I want my Pokemon to be my family as my starter. You and I have the closest bond among my Pokemon, and I will look to you for setting as example the rest of the Pokemon I capture," he said. He finished, passion burning in his eyes as was talking. He saw that Pikachu had a spark in his eyes as he listened to the Ash speak. The spark which said that he wanted to become the strong, to become the best. That same spark which Ash had when he thought about his dream, and he knew that this gut feeling was right. Pikachu would be a perfect starter. He would held out a hand Pikachu and said, "William, accompany me on my journey." Pikachu sniffed as hand as knew what is what doing. Pokemon's had a small sense of smell, and Pikachu could detect a few things from his scent. Exactly what it is. It is a topic for debate. Some say that Pokemon can detect life. Some say they can detect emotion. No one really knows for sure. It is also a variant from Pokemon to Pokemon. For example, Growlithe had a strongest scent of smell right now, as knew that Pikachu was trying to verify as claims. He must have found what he was looking for with a loud pika. He nuzzled his head into Ash's arms, getting a small gentle smile from him. He turned to Professor Oak with a smile still on his face and said, "Looks like Pikachu agreed to be my starter, Professor." "Indeed it does. You handled that very well." As Professor Oak nodded his approval. "Anyway, you should start on your journey now, my boy. You don't want the others to get too much ahead of the start, do you?" "Yes, I will be my own way, Professor. Thank you for everything you could have done for me over the last 3 years. I don't even want to imagine where could I have been without you." "It was my pleasure, as I've been looking out for you and Gary at this year conference. I know you two will go far. You both have tons of potentials." "Thank you, Professor. That means a lot coming from you." "See you," returned Pikachu. He said while pointing a Pokeball at Pikachu. A red light went toward the Pikachu while it dodged frantically. "Huh? You don't mind being in the Pokeball, do you, Pikachu?" The Pikachu explained while shaking his head vehemently and then giving the Pokeball a distasteful look. "That's alright, Pikachu. You don't have to go inside the Pokeball if you don't want to," as assured him. "You can just walk alongside me." Pikachu shook his head again and hopped up as his body settled on his shoulder. "You want to ride on my shoulders?" as asked in surprise with an energetic Pikachu in response from his starter. "Okay then, come on," as shouted enthusiastically while waving a goodbye to Professor Oak. They left the lab and walked back to Ash's home. As his home came into view, Ash saw his mother standing outside with his bag in her hand. She had a fond smile on her face as she saw Ash talking animatedly with his starter. Once Ash got closer to his mother, he greeted her with a cheery smile. "Hey, Mom, this is Pikachu, my starter." Vitopika waved Pikachu happily from his position on Ash's shoulder. "Oh my Arceus, he's so cute," squealed Layla, so overtaken by the cuteness of the Pikachu, she immediately pulled him into a hug. "Mom, stop, you are squeezing him too hard," shouted Ash, frantically, having experienced his mother breaking hugs while she was excited about something. Sorry, said Ash, embraced Delia as she released dazed Pikachu from her hold. "It was nice to meet you, Pikachu. You take good care of my son, will you?" Um, said Pika Pika, replied Pikachu with giving a thumbs up while recovering from Delia's enthusiastic hug. "Yes, your bag has Delia said while holding out his backpack to him. "You should be on your way. Daylight's wasting. "Thank you, Mom," replied as well, wearing his backpack. "I'll miss you." Finished with wearing his backpack, he gave his mother a hug. "I'll miss you too," as his mother replied while hugging him back just as hard. "I have a present for you before you go." She took out a small box and handed it to Ash. He opened it curiously and saw that it was a small and was a compact disc-shaped device. It was yellow and appeared to be able to open up. It was made of a smooth material and had a large blue button in the center. He looked at his mother for an explanation. It is a Poké app. It was developed by the Devon Corporation in Hoenn region. It has many features which I leave you to explore, but I am giving it to you because it has a video function. I expect you to hear from at least a week. Do you understand, young man? Delia said mock sternly while trying to keep her tears under control. Don't worry, mom. I'll definitely call you once a week. I'll miss you a lot. I love you. I love you, too, sweetie. Now get going. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. As nodded while he started walking toward Route 1, which would lead him to the Wardian city. While walking, he heard his mother shout, "And don't forget to change your underwear." At the top of her lungs, as just screamed but continued walking with Pikachu laughing his ass off on as his shoulder. As shook his head to clear off his embarrassment. This was one of those times when the last few seconds would go up to the "this never happened, it was just a bad dream" part of his mind. He turned to Pikachu and asked, "You ready, buddy? Our journey to the top of the world?" Pikachu replied as his name. He started with the determination in his eyes matching those of his trainer. They were ready. They will become the very best and nothing would going to stop them. Well guys, so this is a small part of the story. Well, this is going to be the first part, or we can say that it is the prologue of this story. Anyway, please give me a review on the comment section, and how is this story. You can give me something, how it is, how do you like about it. This Ash is older, more mature than the canon Ash, as he can be kind of out of character, and as we'll be visiting the safari zone in the next chapter. And if you guys have any particular Pokemon you want to see as to catch, then just comment on the comment section. Let's see what will as catch, and is it going to be some different from the canon. So first of all, I'm going to say this, if you hasn't subscribed my channel, then subscribe, turn on the bell icon, and if you like this video, then please give a like so I can cheer myself. Thanks for watching.